Hey guys, so I got a different one here for you. This one kind of left me scratching my head for a little bit. So it's 95 degrees out. I have a unit with a 2-stage call for cooling, but it won't do anything. So I come over here to my control panel, and as you can tell by my mess, I have been looking at this for a while now. Let's see if I can get in here and show you what I'm looking at. Inside this control panel, you'll see, give it a second here, you'll see my light flashing 9 times. And also, if you look at the 2 LED lights under store, the 8 and the 1, if you add those together, that also equals the fault code, but the flashes also are the fault code. That was kind of confusing, but so we have 9 flashes. I was able to locate a manual. I found this manual. It's waterlogged, but it'll work. I found this manual in the other unit, and if we look down here, let's see. Damn it. 9 flashes. Ignition control locked out. So what I did after that, I came back over to my ignition module and I double checked my rollout switch, my thermal high limit, my resettable high limit. Those are all fine, those are all closed. And then I got to looking at my board. My board, I don't know if you can see it up there in the upper left hand corner where it's kind of brown. On the back side of this board, it's toasted. It's much darker, it's burnt up. So what I did is I kind of bypassed the board. I ran my 24 volts that come into the board back out through my safety circuit, my logic circuit, and back over to the control board. But the main control board is still telling me that the ignition module is locked out. Now the problem is I'm not familiar enough with the sequence of operation, and the manual doesn't describe exactly what this ignition control module is telling the main control. But according to the schematic, there really are no other wires that go from this ignition module to the main control module or the main control board. So I don't know where else to look. I don't know what else this ignition module tells that control board, because like I said, there's no other logic switches. And I don't know if you guys have ever tried to call York tech support, but that's near impossible from what I can find out. I was on hold for about 40 minutes trying to get a hold of them. So right now I'm at a loss. All right, guys. So we're just wrapping up this York unit. I couldn't figure out a way to bypass the ignition control module. Everything I tried, according to the schematic, which I thought should have worked, wouldn't work, and the unit kept locking itself out on a failed ignition control module, or a locked out ignition control module, rather. So what I did is I first had to admit to myself that I didn't know everything and that I'm not a super tech, and I was humble enough to phone a friend. I called my buddy Josh, and he had a bright idea of just taking the low voltage signal for cooling, routing that through our safety switches. Let me rephrase that. Let me say that again. Through our safety switches and then into the control side of our contactors. So I am running basically off of the thermostat through my safety switches individually into my contactors. So let me show you a little bit of what we got going on here. Now if you can see this, all my low voltage wiring right here, I left my zip ties uncut because I'm going to come back. When I get the proper parts, I'm going to come back, remove all this low voltage wiring, because again, this is a temporary fix. So if you want to call me a hack, that's fine, but keep in mind this is a temporary fix to get them up and running because it is blistering hot in this store. So what I did, we go up here to our low voltage board. I have, for example, my Y1 signal goes down, down, down through this blue wire, I think it is. And then we come over here to my high pressure switch. And then I go in one side of my high pressure switch, out the other side on this green wire. That goes into my low pressure switch. And then from my low pressure switch, I go back down over here, back into the control board, where it goes onto my contactor. It's probably hard to see back there. But I have the same thing for stage 2, and then I have my indoor blower motor contactor and my condensing fan contactors piggybacked off the signal for Y1. So we are up and running, and again, this is just a temporary fix until I can get an ignition board and get that hooked in and you know, get everything properly repaired. But for now, this will work. So it's just one of those things, guys. You have to remember, sometimes you don't know everything. Sometimes you have to phone a friend. Sometimes they're smarter than you, sometimes they're not. But what really matters is that we got our customer some air conditioning. They're comfortable now. We're gonna keep the account, so it's a win-win. All right, guys, hope you enjoy. Like and subscribe.